morning, Daniel. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How you doing, John?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good with this crazy weather here in Puerto Rico. But hey, it is what it is here where I live. It could be hot, it could be cold, you know.
I love it. I miss like East Coast weather like that because LA, it's just always sunny. And I love the sun. It's beautiful, but I miss the rain sometimes. I do.
Well, where I live here in Puerto Rico, it's mostly sunny. It's kind of like LA, it's
Mhm.
sunny every day. But when it rains, it temperature drops like very crazy. So, right now it's still very cloudy, but I know there's gonna rain much more harder later in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, we're going to be talking about your film Running on Empty. Gotta
Yes.
say, what an interesting take on the topic about death and knowing probably when you are going to pass away, I would say. You directed the film, you wrote the film as well. What inspired you to bring this topic to the people and to your story?
Yeah. I think on the very ground level, death is something that we all experience or will experience at some point. But yet at the same time, I find it interesting how in especially in American culture, death is very taboo. It's something that's it's feared, it's hidden, it's kind of very behind closed doors. And I just it's always been a subject that's fascinated me. And I wanted to find at the same time, how do I incorporate that with something artistic, something that aligns with me as an artist and that aligns with sort of my influences throughout my life in cinema.
Okay. And I did notice that on your film, the story goes ahead and moves forward with giving you a date, but you do explain that it's just like a scientific equation that gives you like a number.
Yeah.
Where did you come? Where did that idea come from? Because normally, I would say in other stories, it's like, oh, this is the exact date, or in horror films, uh, I don't remember the name of the horror film, but there was a horror film that gives you like the actual like time, that you have 24 hours or
Mhm.
a month or so. But how do you come up with this idea that this is just like a scientific equation that gives you like the the time that you're going to last in Earth?
Yeah. So for me, it was much more about like the character. It was much more about keeping it story and character driven. And so the whole death date thing to me, I mean, it's fascinating, but at the same time, it wasn't. I didn't want that to be the focus. I wanted the characters and the story to be the focus of the film. So to me, it was less. I could have made a movie about like the death date and the whole science, how they figure it out, and spend a bunch of time and but it wasn't about that. It was about Morton, his journey, and it was about him figuring out the meaning of life in a sense. And I didn't want to beat people over the head with the death date thing. It was just sort of like a fact thing. And then also I wanted to treat it as if this was already something that was available in our society. And once it becomes available, it's no longer weird or intriguing. It's just a way of life, and people know about it. And that's kind of the world in which I wanted the story to take place.
Yeah, I like the aspect of the character driven story on your film. It's really intriguing how how your character, like, I don't give that many details, but how in each act he keeps evolving until the end. And then Lucy Hale's character evolves as well in the end. How was it working with the cast? How was it working with the crew that you had while on set? How was that experience with all of them?
Yeah, it was. So aside from this is my first like writer director film, but I've worked on movies kind of in and out since I was a child, and whether it was through acting or producing or whatever it was, enough to know that it doesn't always run smoothly, and that more times than not it doesn't run smoothly, and you're always going to have a problem with this and that and whatever. But in this situation, I really feel that the stars aligned and the movie gods were sort of on our side because not only just me, but our department heads, our actors, so many people had come to me while we were making it and after, saying that was really one of the best experiences I had making a film. And for me, it was really, for all of us, it felt like we went to summer camp with like our friends and got to like make a movie. And to me, that as an artist, that's what it should be about. And so I was very, very fortunate, especially on my first feature directing, that the stars aligned and that we all just really connected and had an amazing time making this film.
Were all films have challenges, but was there any specific challenge while on set that that it marked you as as a director, that you would say like, yeah, I think I'm not this is I will make sure that this does not happen again.
Yeah. Huh. The only thing was, and I don't even think it was a negative thing, was, we had a limited amount of time. We shot this in, I believe it was 18 days. And so that was really the biggest pressure. But at the same time, again, the movie gods were on our side. We always got our days in. We were always, for the most part, ahead of schedule. And that's really, it's not because of me, it's because of the team that we put together, and the talent, the crew, the cast, everything, that really, really made it is what it is.
Okay. And is there any scene in particular from the film that you loved to record when you got to make that
Sure.
scene?
Yeah. I guess one particular one that sticks out is, it's a really short scene. It's when he shows up at the strip club, and then he chickens out and he goes into the bar next door. And I actually used to live, that was in Sherman Oaks, and I lived like 2 blocks down the street from where that bar is. And the strip club that's next to it, that was all our art department and my production designer that turned that into the strip club. And I just remember when we were shooting it, I lived across the street for years, and I'm looking and there's like a strip club, and people like in the neighborhood were just like, what? There's a strip club here now? And it was really kind of surreal, I guess, when you see this kind of brought to fruition and you're actually manipulating the reality in which you live in every day to look totally different.
No, yeah, I imagine, because I know that in certain movies, when you see, I think that there's this. I don't know if it's an influencer or somebody that just likes to look for the locations of like films and put like a
Yeah.
picture in front of it. And you're like,
Yep.
wow, this is the place that this was filmed in. That's amazing. That it would be kind of cool seeing like, yeah, this was the strip club.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was so fortunate we got to shoot it mostly in the valley. So it's, even today, I'll probably drive by at least one of the places we shot at.
That's amazing. And how was it working with you did get to work with Lucy Hale, that she
Yeah.
plays Kate, and as well you got to um I don't find his I don't have his name here, but the main character, Mortimer.
Kier
Um
Kier Gilchrist.
yes, him. How was it working with both of them? Being the fact that
Yeah.
I've seen them in so many other projects, especially Lucy, that she's been in a very popular TV show, the Pretty Little Liars. How was it
Yeah.
working with them?
It was great. I know a lot of people like just say this and whatever, but Lucy in particular, I mean, she's an amazing actor. And I just am so inspired that we got to work together on this, and I look forward to everything that she does in the future. And both her and Kier are like total pros. Like, they've both been doing this a very long time, and they're just on point. They're like total pros. They come in and they give great performances, but at the same time, to be able to work with just such incredibly nice, kind people, that to me is actually more important than talent. It's not only talent isn't the only thing. You have to, especially in an industry where there's so much competition and so many different personalities, it's really important to just surround yourself with good people and not just good actors or good at whatever they do. And so I was very lucky in that respect. And I was just very, very over the moon to have both of them.
But Daniel, would you have any type of plans to we have now running on empty. We have this story, this character driven story, amazing film. But would you be interested in touching much more basis on your scientific equation on finding out the time that a person has on to live?
Like in real life?
Not in real life, like in
Oh,
another
in like in
film
a movie.
or yeah, in a
Yeah.
film or a series.
It, it's oh well, it's funny. We actually we're working on it's in development right now is a TV show that's based off of the dating service in Running on Empty, Till Death Do Us Part. And
Okay.
so the series actually centers around Tilda and Kate and her assistant. And in the in the TV version, the whole death date thing is actually from the dating service. It's not from a doctor or anything else. And so in the series, it's going to dive much more into how did Tilda come up with this and get this technology in order to give people their death dates.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sold. I'm sold. I want to know more.
Awesome. Awesome.
and
Well, hopefully you will soon.
and Daniel, are there any is there any franchise or any type of like show, anything that you would like to work on that it would be like your dream to be able to, let's say I know that a lot of people would say like is I want to work on Star Wars or on a Marvel series or film, but is there
Yeah.
any other project or franchise that you would like to be part of?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what one franchise that I just have immense respect for is Ty West's X and Pearl franchise that he did, which was amazing. And it's totally kind of left of center horror. So that's something I would totally love to kind of dip my feet into someday. And then just off the top of my head is I would love to direct a Charlie Kaufman script. That's
Okay.
sort of like at the top of my list, but again, things happen when they're supposed to happen.
Is there any other story that you would have that happened on set? Any funny moment that you just like to, go back and say like, yeah, this was funny, and I
Yeah,
keep telling it to people?
yeah. One that pops out is actually Reese, who played Simon the pimp. When he shows up to Mort's house at night looking for his money, and he starts like banging down, pulls out the gun. Reese actually broke in the door. He busted in the door, and it's in the film. So there's a part where we're shooting inside, and it's on Kier, and Simon's trying to break in the door, and you hear this crack, and like I guess like a what do you call it, like dust or whatever hitting the ground from like the wall. That's not post. That's all real. And so then we had to have our guys come in and we fixed the door and made it just like new again. But yeah, that's why when you see Kier like kind of look down, he's actually kind of freaked out that Reese might knock the door down. So yeah, that was a fun moment. But
And how does it feel? How does it feel that it's like your directorial, like full length debut, and as well as a writer? How do you feel in
yeah,
regards to that?
I mean it's amazing, and I really have to step back. I'm the type of artist, I guess, who I'm always thinking about the next thing, and I'm always like working on the next thing. And since filmmaking is such a long process, it's interesting as an artist, you kind of you detach yourself, and it's like I've detached myself for the last year, and now that it's coming out, I'm sort of reattaching myself to it again, and all of these sort of memories are coming back, and it's great. But for me, I mean, I'm all about let's keep it moving, working on the next thing.
That's amazing. And is besides this series, are you working on anything right now or planning on work
Yeah.
on something?
Yeah, there's I have two biopics. One about it that I can talk about real quick is it's called Cured. And Cured is actually a script that was based on a book called Cured: The Tale of Two Imaginary Boys. It's a Lowell Tolhurst memoir, and Lowell Tolhurst is one of the founding members of the band The Cure. And I read the book and absolutely fell in love with it, and I've loved the band since I was a teenager. And me and Lowell got together and I pitched him my idea for the movie. So I wrote the script based on the book. And so that's sort of in the background. That's in the works. It's going to be a much bigger project. But that's in the background, and that's something that I'm really, really excited to get out into the world.
That's amazing. And Daniel, this will be my last question for you today. If you could describe running on empty with one word, what would it be?
Non-conventional.
Unconventional. Okay. I see it.
I don't
see
know.
it.
That just popped into my head, I guess.
You're the first director that gives me a word real quickly. Everybody
Really?
takes their time. They're like, I don't know. You got a good question there, but you're off the bat. There you go. That's my word.
It
Amazing.
just popped in, and if I thought any longer, I probably would have ended up sitting here for a minute still trying to think of something. So I went with my gut. You got to go with your gut.
I completely agree with you. So Daniel, thank you very much for giving us the time to talk about running on empty. Super excited for people to see this film. I hope that they enjoy it as much as I did, and I can't wait to get you here again and talk about your other endeavors.
I can't wait. I'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you.